I just think it's absurd and frankly, deeply offensive to people all around this country in crisis that we're actually having a hearing on a judge that is for a vacancy that's not even open until September. Between now and September, if projections are right, we will lose thousands, if not tens of thousands of Americans. Death and life.
Republican Senate leader Mitch McConnell's priorities have been clear all along. Tax cuts for rich people and judges. And he is not letting a global pandemic or physical distancing or the deaths of tens of thousands of Americans stop his urgent need to come up with more judges. As we pass 70,000 coronavirus deaths in this country, 22 million Americans unemployed, Mitch McConnell has called back the Senate to work on nominees, including an appellate court nominee. But not just any nominee. This is someone near and dear to Mitch McConnell's heart. In fact, so near and so dear that almost 8 weeks ago, you may recall, as the House was passing an urgent relief bill with money to fight the exploding pandemic, Mitch McConnell decided that weekend to just send the Senate home so he could fly back to Kentucky with his buddy, Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, to attend a swearing-in ceremony for a young right-wing judge that he had managed to place on the federal judiciary. The man in question, the judge, his name is Justin Walker, and he clerked for Kavanaugh. He's got the backing of McConnell, and here he is fist bumping with both of them that weekend while the epidemic was exploding in America. I should tell you that Justin Walker was deemed not qualified for that position of federal court district court judge by the American Bar Association. And now just weeks later, I mean, that was his swearing in ceremony to be a district court judge, right? Then the pandemic exploded. And now weeks later, Mitch McConnell is trying to put that guy on the appellate court. Now there's an added wrinkle. There is a complaint that McConnell improperly pressured a judge on the appellate court to step down to open up that vacancy. The retiring judge, I should note, denies that, but a federal judge has asked for a full investigation. Because no amount of human misery and widespread illness and death and economic destruction and unemployment will stop Mitch McConnell from trying to jam his judges onto the federal judiciary.